Hello and welcome to Kwanzoo's ABM POV. Today, for episode 34, we're talking about improving your ABM advertising ROI with conversational web pages. I'm Jeff Jewett and I have with me Monty Iyer, CEO of Kwanzoo. How's it going, Monty?
Doing well, Jeff. It's been a while and good to reconnect and get on one more POV with you.
Yeah, absolutely. This one's a really exciting topic, conversational web pages, specifically, around what, Intercom and Drift have been doing with the landscape and really pushing and advocating for it. It's become an important part of the modern marketers arsenal. So excited to see how this works with ABM advertising and having this conversation with you today.
Yeah, let's do it.
So the first question that we have for you today, Monty, is, what exactly are conversational web pages and why are they suddenly so popular?
Yeah, so Jeff, more and more B2B marketers, B2B companies are starting to implement or deploy these, essentially live chat tools, basically the ability to have conversations on website homepages and other pages. And as you mentioned, Drift and Intercom are probably the ones that are a couple of the more key products and tools that are starting to get used in more and more B2B companies. And what the experience is, there's a pop-up that comes up as soon as you get to the page. It's sort of like a bot that some companies basically set it up so it can answer some basic questions. Others actually have live agents that are ready to engage with the prospect as they come in. And some of them have in-house agents, some of them have outsourced live agents. The outsourced agents have some basic scripts, things that they can ask to qualify the prospect and then redirect them right to somebody within the company who can then take over and continue the dialogue. And then you have live agents that tend to obviously know more about the product service and can jump in and answer questions or steer it in different directions. And you have AI and ML that's making it possible to automate more of the answers, be it more contextual, more interesting. And I think the key point probably here, Jeff, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, is it's kind of changing the paradigm where B2B marketers used to bang people over the head to fill out a form. And so the whole notion of having to fill out a form to get information or understand more, or even, talk to a live person before they're really ready, like a salesperson, it kind of defers or delays that. And so people don't feel as, obligated, right, to take a meeting and so forth, like a formal meeting. They informally are able to pick up and learn a lot of things. And the other thing I think about live chat, I'm sure you'll agree, is the point about being able to multitask. So you in a live phone call, you got to focus on the person and their conversation. Here you can do other things, and then along the way you can pick up a thread and then continue the conversation with somebody. Jeff, what are
Yeah,
your
that
thoughts?
makes Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think that, it becomes really powerful. You touched on it kind of briefly, this AI and machine learning, there's obviously the leveraging the power of AI and machine learning to improve those conversations, specifically around directing them towards solutions, but also informing, in situations where you have live agents, the most relevant content. The other thing that really stands out to me around conversational marketing and why it's so impactful is that, with the right systems and solutions in place, the power to actually route, contacts, basically essentially unknown visitors within respective companies to their respective account owners within an organization is also an option. So this idea of, yes, you can automate it. Yes, you can outsource agents, but for your high value accounts, you can get them to somebody that's very informed on the account, that knows the competitive landscape, that knows the solutions that best apply to that specific business, and really start to improve the velocity at which you're able to convert deals. And then the second thing is that, as you touched on, the reason it's called conversational is because it's not just this blanket form. Tell me everything about yourself, and let's not really give you any information as to why we're going to use it. But if somebody asks you, what's your name? So I know what to call you while we're chatting. So I don't have to call you visitor 3579. Starting to ask those questions in the context of providing information in real time really reduces the barrier to entry to share that identifiable information. So I'm starting to see improved conversion rates because of that.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this whole area. I mean, between a lot of innovation, that's for sure. I mean, so yeah, I think it's an exciting area.
Absolutely. So this leads us to our second question, which is how can ABM advertising, so companies like Quanzby specifically, work with conversational web pages to drive additional demand and improve conversion rates?
Yeah, this is a really interesting one for us, Jeff, because so one thing is, I think people marketers are getting smart to the fact that, and this is where I'm going to take us to our trusty whiteboard, right? So I think to explain some concepts here. So what we see is, let me make sure that I can actually bring up our whiteboard. So one is, as you know, this is at least how I think about it. So you've got your a prospect, they're on their browser somewhere, and then here you've got your website. And so today what happens is prospect sees an ad on their browser, maybe they click on it, and so there's a way that you can basically track the ad click and link it to a particular account that the prospect is from. And then we can also capture some buyer attributes, such as their, seniority and job function. And, some of this, obviously we, as an ABM advertising provider, have access to some of this because of the targeting data we use to target this prospect from our third-party data partners like an Oracle BlueKai or Bombora or, any of the others. So we have the ability to map an ad click to the account that the prospect is from. And then we have the ability to similarly track all of the interactions that happen on this web page down here. So maybe the same prospect visits a series of web pages. And so this whole thing of them bouncing around and doing all these actions, today what happens is we construct it into what we call a visitor journey. So here's what they did, and then here's what they did next, and here's what they did next. And then we also track it in terms of the date of when they came in, the time when they came in, the specific pages they visited, or the ad they clicked on. So you might have an ad or a page. So I'm going to show everyone, Jeff, a quick example of one of these visitor journeys look like. And then let's take a look at how do you now go beyond ad clicks, and then I'm going to have a second type of interaction, so let's call it a website visit. So imagine now you can go beyond ad clicks and website visits, and what if, and here's the what if, right? What if we could also provide you with a third type of interaction by the same prospect, which is when here you've got your little chat bot, and this is one of your Drift or Intercom, any of those other chat bots. And then imagine that here, we start tracking this live chat interaction, and then the ability to now start dropping that into the same report. So now you have yet another action by the same prospect, and then you can now classify that. This one is not an ad click or a site visit, it's actually a live chat. And so if we can, that's where we're headed with this whole idea of integrating ABM advertising and conversational marketing and conversational web pages, is you're showing yet another very valuable signal. So this is a much more interesting prospect because they actually took that extra step. They just didn't come and browse around and look at information. They actually engaged with one of your agents. And the idea here is we show you who they are. If they did provide you with their email address, we show that to you right here. So, like an email address. And then beyond that, if they did have any kind of specific conversational, information that got exchanged between them and somebody at your company, also have the ability to go look at that later on as part of the same buyer's journey or visitor's journey. So here is in fact an example of one of our current reports, Jeff, that I just want to show an example of this. So this is what it looks like today for us. So as you can see, it's pretty interesting. It goes way beyond people who fill out a form. Let me just do this again real quick. But beyond people filling out forms, which of course you're going to get from your marketing automation tools and systems and all that. One second. So if I place this image, okay, it's coming right up. So the idea here is now I can add, besides ad click data, website visit data, with the anonymous buyers from specific target account and their actions and activities, the creative that they clicked on, the product or solutions associated with the creative, the geolocation they came from, and of course I already know their buyer personas. I know, depending on what targeting I'm doing, I know kind of their directors or VPs or managers in specific functions. What we're trying to do next is actually layer on right here. So imagine right here, I can actually say, okay, here's action number 2. And this action number 2 is of type, live chat. I'm sure you get the idea from here, Jeff.
Yep.
Question? Yeah. It just goes on and fills in the detail here, including the URL.
So it's just one more signal across your account, across your buyers. The thing that's really powerful about this report is the fact that you'll notice that there are multiple buyers within each of the organization. Microsoft at the bottom, 4 buyers engaged. Live chat is a signal that beyond just the initial browsing, that they're willing to start to take the time and interact with you and with your company. Really becomes powerful signals, which I'm sure you're going to be touching on here in a second.
Yeah. So this is a signal, and you can treat these buyers as extra special, as you said. Maybe you feed these as a priority over to sales, and sales reviews it and then acts on it. They start digging into who these people are, where they're coming from, what kind of actual dialogue are they having with us. And maybe that becomes an entry point into a complex deal, right, of 7 to 10 different buyers that they're trying to engage in a particular target account. And there you go. So the ability to take this information, pass it, route it, that becomes the next step from there, of accelerating the pipeline.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they really do become, like as you mentioned, high quality buying signals, and these are the types of things that they're great in this report. They're also great, as they become measurable and actionable, informing your scoring methodology as well, and your prioritization methodology around accounts, because with the right mechanisms, the right chat programs in place, these really do start to become very meaningful and should be treated as such. And as part of, we did have a previous POV session where we did talk about account prioritization and account scoring in quite a bit of depth. And, this is one of those factors that really needs to be carefully measured and carefully, weighed. And it really comes down to how you're leveraging, chat and these live conversations. But again, great signals.
Yeah, and like I said, now some of them may reveal themselves with an email address, which gives you even more information to actually start emailing them. The other option is you have enough information about them that you can actually go dig into your CRM tool, your LinkedIn Sales Navigator, or Zoom Info, Discover Org, and then at least track them down, or at least reach out to a few relevant potential buyers at that target account, and then say, hey, we have these folks from your company who are engaging with us. Sounds like you're interested in this product, this service, and then have a more informed, interesting email conversation with them.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that is essentially it, Jeff, for this week, where we wanted to share, what we're up to around tying ABM advertising with conversational marketing, and that leads us to our next topic.
Yep, so for the next topic, Friday, June 21st, we'll be talking about the compounding effect of ABM advertising on your omni-channel strategy. That's definitely a topic near and dear to my heart, and I look forward to chatting with you about it, Manny.
Same here. Look forward to it. Thanks, Jeff. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, buddy.